This is part 2 to a video series regarding my top 8 favorite arcs in Chainsaw Man. If you want to see arcs 5 to 8, go to the link below and see my previous video, but this will be covering arcs 4 to 1 with manga spoilers. Dog, if the phrase "let him cook" was a fucking arc, this would be the arc. Like, this arc is just so good to look at, I cannot even put it into words. Story-wise, it basically follows the revenge of Samurai Sword, the Katana man, and how he wants to kill Denji for killing his grandpa, a person that was possessed by the zombie devil. And the relationship between Denji and Samurai Sword is so interesting to me. Their counteractivity to each other is so well played during this entire arc is so cool. From character-wise things, such as Denji being a very poor kid, having to fend for himself for the first 16 years of his life, with the only type of friend that he has being Pachita, to Samurai Sword being portrayed as this spoiled brat almost, with his entire family by his side, and his grandpa being the main supporter of that. To even visual cues, when Denji transforms into Chainsaw Man, his teeth are very jagged and unkept, but when Samurai Sword does it, his teeth are very pristine and, equal with each other. But beside that, this arc is just so fun to look at. The first 3 arcs were all, of course, had their best manga panels, the Bat Devil being a great example of that. But this arc just has so many good panels. From Easy Revenge to reveal that Samurai Sword is the Katana Devil, to the Ghost Devil being summoned fully for the first time, to even Himeno slowly losing her limbs, this arc is just so beautiful, I'd almost say. And with bringing Himeno up, I of course have to cover my favorite point of this arc, the death of Himeno. Now, if you've seen my last video about Chainsaw Man, you'd know that I went on a whole rant about, Himeno is a pervert and that's not a good part of her character, but everything else about her is almost perfect. Her relationship with Aki alone is probably my favorite part of Chainsaw Man. No matter how you look at Himeno's relationship with Aki, there's no doubt about it that she likes him. Whether romantically, platonically, or even somewhat family related, Himeno does care and want Aki to succeed. Whether that be in the Devil Corporation that they work in, or even just living a normal life in the mountains or something with a farm. Even during one of Himeno's first interactions with Aki, she talks about how much of a smoker she is and how Aki should start because she's never gonna stop. But of course, Aki being, Aki, he says no, he's never gonna smoke. But then with the influence of, a person that he cares about, he ends up smoking anyways. And side note, that's probably one of my favorite things about Aki. No matter who he's around, he always seems to care about that person, even if it does take a couple of chapters. But the fact that she cares so much about Aki, meaning that she'd do anything for him, even indirectly kill herself. Look, basically every death in Chainsaw Man is incredibly sad, especially later on during some of the final arcs. But this was really the first that started a whole chain of it. And it wasn't even so much the death itself, it's just the weight that held behind the death and the aftermath of said death. Seeing Himeno's limbs disappear gradually throughout the battle with the Katana Man is just such a horrible thing to see, especially for someone like Himeno, which, yeah, you could say that she's a pedophile, but I don't think that she deserved a death like that, you know what I'm saying? And the hospital scene with Aki afterwards, where he's on the bed and then he realizes, oh shit, not only do I have 2 years to live, but my partner in crime is basically dead. And the fact that he was crying afterwards just showed how much he cared about Himeno, even if he didn't show it 24/7. The bottom line is, Himeno's death is probably my favorite moment out of this entire arc, aside from the final battle with Katana Man and Denji, and the movie scene with Makima and Denji. Overall, I'd say this arc is like a 9.3 out of 10. It's just... It's incredible, man. By the way, Beam was introduced into this arc, which automatically makes it the best arc ever. 20 out of 10. Moving on to the next arc. If I'll give Chainsaw Man one bad rep, is that this nigga Denji cannot catch a break, bro. Like, the main motivation of Denji is just to touch titties, dog. And as relatable as that is, damn, bro. But, hey, at least there's Makima. Throughout the first 4 arcs of Chainsaw Man, Denji's main love interest was Makima. But that kind of changes here. Meet Reze, a Russian Soviet spy that somehow happens to be the bomb girl, the main antagonist of this arc. And even though I call her the main antagonist, she's a lot more chill than that. She's not like Samurai Sword where she, wants to kill Denji. I mean, she's ordered to, but she doesn't want to, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, old girl just wanted education, and I can do nothing but support that idea. I mean, it's better than just touching titties. Like, come the fuck on, Denji. but all that shit aside, this arc begins after Makima announces that Denji does have a heart, in fact. And now Denji's all preppy, he's all in the mood. He's like, yeah, I do have a heart. Yeah, Miss Makima said I have a heart, dog. Life is good, life is good. He's out here deep throating flowers, he's that excited. But then he gets caught in a rainstorm and then Fadangos his way into a phone booth, where then he meets the main antagonist of this arc, Reze, but we don't know she's the main antagonist just yet. But then after Denji activates his inner Duke Dennis and activates his unspoken Reze invites him into the cafe that she works at. And upon doing that, and reading this first part of the arc, you think, damn, about time, bro. About time Denji finally gets some box, man. But oh yeah, by the way, Power will not be playing a big role in this arc, mainly because she absorbed too much blood and Makima wants to drain some blood out of her. But don't worry, we get Beam as a replacement, which is honestly better than Power. But after seeing a few more dates between Denji and Reze and realizing that Reze is a Russian spy, we then see Reze ask Denji the big question, does Denji want to run away with her? But before Denji can even think, not even a whole iota of a second passes and this bitch bites off Denji's tongue tip and then reveals that she's a whole op. She then fingers herself so aggressively that her head pops up and then reveals that she's the whole bomb girl. So then after reading this part, I was all like, this nigga Fujimoto's such a bitch, bro. Why the fuck he playing with Denji like that? But before Reze can explode all over Denji and kill him, Beam swoops in, saves his husband, tries to fight the bitch, gets his ass beat, and then runs to a Devil Hunters organization down the block. Aki then finds Beam at the doorstep, and Beam's all like, this bomb girl, boom, gun devil, and all this shit. And Aki's like, bro, speak fucking English, my nigga. But then the squirt devil pulls up, explodes a bunch of people, and then now, cutting a few chapters out, she's now running after Denji, Aki, Angel, and I'm pretty sure Beam in a car. This is where we get to the best part of this arc, the fights. A great example of a good fight during this arc is Denji versus Reze, wherein Denji drops one of the saddest lines in all of Chainsaw Man. And then continuing on from this, with the way Reze responds and how Denji almost believes her, but then Aki says snap back to reality, and then, you know, he starts fighting her again. It's just, somebody needs to give this nigga Denji a hug, bro. By the way, Denji, I completely feel how you feel. DTB for life. Aside from that though, this arc has a bunch of amazing fights and a bunch of amazing moments. I mean, look at all the moments. Beam transforms into a full fucking shark. Aki comes in with the fucking clutch, saving that burnt ass Denji form. Like, god damn, nigga. Why are you so crisp? Not to mention Aki and Angel's totally straight bromance that they developed during this fight. Ultimately, this fight ends with Denji and Reze taking a quick little bath, you know, quick little shower. They should have brought Power along with them with their fishy coochie. Anyways, Reze wakes up on the beach where Denji is just sitting at, kind of vibing. Denji then brings up the profit of them just running away. Reze breaks Denji's neck like the bitch she is. But Denji still offers Reze a date at the cafe that she works at, in which she thinks about it but actually ends up going. And upon my reaction to this part, the first thing I thought was, yeah, Reze did almost kill Denji and all of his friends, but hey, at least it's all over. I mean, I feel like we went through enough pain as is. There's no way it could possibly get worse. What the fuck? Like, oh my god, bro. We just met her. Like, bro, the anger I had upon reading this part was just unfathomable. Like, Fujimoto, is it that hard to give him a break? Is it that hard? All I wanted to see Denji thrive, to see him prosper, bro, but I can't fucking get that because it's this fucking Chainsaw Man! My editor said it was best I take a 5-minute break to drink water and relax, so I come back to this video just to say I'm sorry for your ears if you were not expecting that, and that this arc has its best moments. A couple of those moments being Denji's first dates with Reze, Beam turning into a full-bodied shark, Aki and Angel bonding over time. Overall, this arc is pretty good. It has its ups and its downs, but no matter the less, this is still a 9.5 out of 10. Moving on to the second to last arc. Hey, there's two things I have to get off my chest before we cover the last 2 entries of this entire series. The first thing being, thank you to the people that made it to this point in the video. These videos are definitely not easy to make, and I appreciate each and every one of you that make it through all the cringe and shit to make it even halfway through this video. Secondly, if you know anything about Chainsaw Man, you know that the next 2 arcs that I have to cover would be the Gun Devil arc and the Control Devil arc. And do not get me wrong, both of these arcs are essentially perfect. I can rank them in the exact same spot, and I don't think a lot of people would disagree. Both of these arcs perfectly sum up what Chainsaw Man is to me as a reader perfectly, but they both sum it up differently. And without further ado, I am Oreo Crunch. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And the number 2 entry of this list is the Control Devil arc. Now, before I cover this arc in any sort of way possible, I have to talk about how good this arc looks. Like, holy fuck. When I put spoiler alerts at the beginning of these videos, this is what I'm trying to hide away from you, because if you haven't experienced this yourself, you will just literally not get it. If we were talking about just looks alone, this would be the best Chainsaw Man arc by a fucking landslide. This arc alone makes the Bomb Girl arc, the Katana Man arc, and the Bat Devil arc all look like they were drawn by 3-year-olds with Parkinson's, with Denji standing on top of a fucking grainstone waiting for the ops to pull up, to Pachita ripping out his own fucking heart just to get back in the fade with Makima and the other weapon devils. Like, oh my god, Fujimoto was cooking. And this is all demonstrated perfectly during the final battle, which is too early to cover because we just started this entry. But don't let that deteriorate you from the other good moments of this arc. There is, of course, the absolute perfect fight that Pachita and the weapon hybrids have. Kobeni busting it down in DDR. And of course, we can't forget Pachita ripping out his own heart, sending it back to orbit, and then going back for more smoke. This nigga is a demon. But of course, since this is Chainsaw Man we're talking about, there is one moment that stands out between all other moments. Unfortunately though, it revolves around everybody's favorite blood fiend, Power. Power and Denji's relationship is just so complicated that it's had entire videos made just about it alone. You can demonstrate Power and Denji's relationship in many ways. You can see them as lovers, you can see them as enemies, but most commonly, people see them as what they really are, siblings. Denji, Power, and Aki all got some of the roughest hands in life. They have all been brought to their mental limits and have all had their own versions of their trauma, but when they're together, it's like they're inseparable. They of course started off bickering with each other, getting into petty disagreements, but then they started working together, they started building bonds, they started becoming their own family. And when everything seemed perfect, when everything seemed good, Makima stepped in and she fucking ruined it. Denji is a man that is broken beyond human recognition. He's been in situations where groups of people that he trusted have been killed in front of him without him having any control over the situation. And the worst part is, basically all of these problems, all of these quarrels, all of these deaths are brought up because he is Chainsaw Man. And because of how mentally broken and just tired he was, he wanted to give it all up. He wanted to become a dog. That's where Makima stepped in. Denji handed over all of his mental thinking and just became one of Makima's 7 dogs. But becoming a dog, he has to listen to everything that Makima says, and that's including opening the door. And what Denji sees once he opens that door is something that I don't think any reader was expecting. Power holding up a birthday cake. And then you start thinking to yourself, damn, finally it's over. Denji, Power, and Makima can live the rest of their lives free of the gun devil and any other devil that steps in their way. But then it happens. Power's death is easily the most hard-hitting death in all of Chainsaw Man, because yeah, Power was an annoying racist that smelled like shit, but she was our annoying racist that smelled like shit. She was killed in front of basically her older brother without him giving any sort of emotion up front. And not because he was in shock or because he was a quote-unquote dog, it's because he literally could not. And that's what makes Denji's character so interesting. No matter who around him dies, no matter how brutally they die, he never cries. But before Makima can cause any more harm to Denji mentally, physically, or whatever the fuck, the Makima defense squad pulls up and then smokes her. The Hell Devil is summoned, one of the most powerful devils in Chainsaw Man most likely. And the situation, despite everything else happening in the past, it looks hopeful, it looks like things are going to get better. But then Makima utters those 4 words, "Save me, Chainsaw Man." But after that, the Chainsaw Devil pulls up, wipes out the Hell Devil in one shot, goes back to hell for some lunch, gets back into a fade with literally everybody, and goes on a date with Kobeni like the Chad he is. But even after all that, after everything, Denji has a little talk with Kobeni. His morals finally come into play, and now the final battle begins. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail as to why this fight is so good. You just need to experience it for yourself, of course. But since I'm feeling generous today, I'll just share some of my favorite moments with the audience. There's Denji, a one-man army, sticking his chainsaws in the ground and then pulling up a big chunk of gravestone. Him being lit on fire, which is a weird trend going on, and still fighting even more aggressively than ever. And even though I hate the bitch, I can't sit here and lie and say Makima don't got hands. I mean, she's giving Denji so many back and front shots, it's insane. But the real reason I like this fight isn't just because it's just a shonen fight, it's because of the ideals behind the fight. Denji is a man that has lost essentially everything that's mattered to him, while Makima is a person that is one step away from gaining her ultimate goal of making a quote-unquote perfect world. The main reason why Makima says her world is perfect is because there's no negative sides, and that's where Denji comes into play, where he says, we need the negative sides of life to make the positives even better, which is ultimately something I completely agree with. And going back through Chainsaw Man, you start to see why Denji says this. The most prominent examples of what Denji's ideals truly mean is the movie scene. Denji has seen so many bad movies that the one okay movie has brought him to tears. And it's the same case with Makima, though it might be for different reasons. While Denji was probably just in shock of just how powerful this scene was, Makima probably found the scene unrelatable, and that's what drove her to cry. As the control devil, she cannot build a real human bond because she sees every single human as lesser than her. But ultimately, this doesn't matter. When Denji seems at death's door and he has his heart ripped out and Makima seemingly wins, something happens. Before the fight can even begin, Makima states that Denji seems weaker than usual. And throughout Denji and Makima's fight, she seems to dominate him in every sort of way. And when she gets Pachita, it seems that she's finally won. Until Denji, a person that still loved Makima greatly, found the emotional power, to kill her. And the amount of callbacks that were used to explain how Denji killed her is actually pretty smart. And after Denji explains how he killed her, he makes her into a nice sashimi, and then some steak and juice, some meatballs, and yeah, the whole shebang. Ultimately, the reason why this arc is so high up is because it perfectly demonstrates one of my favorite aspects of Chainsaw Man, the story. But there's still one more arc, somehow, that places above this. But nevertheless, this arc places comfortably at number 2. 10 out of 10. My god, what the fuck did I just read? That was my reaction to the ending of the Gun Devil arc. Now listen, I can do 2 things when it comes to covering this arc. I could explain every single chapter, every single page, every single panel, or I could explain my personal best moment in the entire 97 chapter run of Chainsaw Man Part 1, which, based on the length of this video, it looks like I'll be doing the latter. Here we go. Aki Hayakawa is a sad, broken man. He has lost many things, most of his lifespan, his partner in crime, and his family. And all of this because of his yearning to kill the Gun Devil, the single devil that made him join the Devil Hunters organization. The devil that wiped out 1.2 million people off the face of the planet almost instantaneously. Though, however, you could say that the death of his family, the death of Himeno, was a blessing in disguise. Because due to these deaths, it led Aki to build connections with 3 of the most important people of his life: Angel Devil, Power, and Denji. Aki met Denji after a horrible encounter with the Testicle Devil. In addition, Aki met Angel and Power through the Devil Hunters organization. Now at first, Aki loathed all 3 of these people. Aki loathed Denji because he didn't take his job seriously at all and his motivations were very, very shallow. And Aki didn't like Angel Devil or Power because Power was a fiend and Angel was a full-on devil. That is until he begins to build a bond with all 3 of these people and starts to realize that they were just like any other person. But after Aki visits the graves of his family members that died in the Gun Devil attack, with Denji and Power by his side, he then realizes something. The revenge just simply isn't worth it. In his longing to get revenge for his family, he's built his own family. So to keep them safe, he goes to the one person he thinks he can rely on: Makima. So Makima, using her control level powers, forces a contract onto Aki in which she cannot deny. And Angel, Even though he tried, ultimately fails to break Aki out of the contract and ultimately falls into a contract with Makima himself. But after the Gun Devil's resummoning, he shoots a bullet through Makima's head, making her 29th recorded death. But even this isn't enough to put her down for good. After she summons the Punishment Devil, we zip back to Denji, Power, and Aki's house. We see Denji here knock at the door, him thinking that it's Aki. But before Denji can even touch the handle, he receives visions from the dreams that he's been having about the door. He also receives calls from Makima telling him not to think about what's gonna happen later on. But Denji, ignoring the visions that he's seen and the calls that he received, opens the door anyways. The snowball fight is an absolutely horrible thing to experience as a reader of Chainsaw Man. Not look-wise, not story-wise, just completely emotionally. Seeing the switch around between Aki's point of view of the fight, which is to him just an innocent snowball battle, but to Denji, a horrible massacre caused by his best friend. Shot after shot, snowball after snowball, Denji is being ripped apart by Aki, a person that seemingly he has done no damage to. And not because he physically cannot, it's because he cannot hurt the man that is essentially family to Denji. But even through all of Denji's pleading and begging for Aki to stop this massacre, Aki can't stop, because Aki isn't the one that Denji is fighting. It's the Gun Fiend. Aki was killed during the Gun Devil's first summoning, and ultimately the Gun Devil possessed Aki. So then after Denji realizes that he can't save Aki anymore, he has no choice but to kill him. Aki's ultimate demise in Chainsaw Man is something that is so poignant and is so beautiful to see that I wish I could experience it with a fresh slate. To everybody else that's surrounding the fight between Aki and Denji, it might just seem like Chainsaw Man defeating the Gun Devil, finally liberating the people of all the fear. But to Denji, this isn't a fight. This is him trying to save his brother from hurting any more people, something that he would never, ever, ever do. But this is a fruitless affair. Denji has to kill Aki to protect the people that Aki didn't kill. And this is why the Gun Devil arc is my all-time favorite arc of Chainsaw Man Part 1 because of the emotional impact it left on me as a reader. Even though Aki was warned multiple times that he was gonna die a horrible death, he didn't stop in his pursuit. He didn't give up. He did not give up in his pursuit to find a way to save all three of them. Aki was a man that never left sight of his goal until that goal changed once he encountered two people that meant more than that. That is why Aki Hayakawa is my favorite deuterologist in all of fiction, and why the Gun Devil arc is my favorite arc in Chainsaw Man. Not just because of its awesome action scenes, its amazing characters, the way that it fits in a story, but because Aki Hayakawa chose to die in the worst possible way for a chainsaw boy. Oh yeah, if you're really wondering, all of Chainsaw Man Part 2 would be right above the intro arc, but nothing past that. It's not that good so far.